Welcome to an all-new episode of the Super Metal Brothers Reviews. I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
I'm Super Metal Brother Dane.
This week we are talking about a band called Abbath. For those who don't know, these guys are a black metal band. They were formed in 2015, which would make them 4 years old, Danny. That is correct.
Thanks.
They were introduced by the former immortal guitarist and vocalist Abbath. Doom Occulta is his name. He departed Immortal in early 2015, decided going solo is the only way. They released their first album, I think, called Abbath on January the 22nd, 2016. So here we are with the return of the band, apparently. This has currently 4 members in the band. And one I wanted to mention super in particular is Roald Olle Andre Farstad, who clearly is the standout in this album. His solo guitar work on this record is something to be admired, and it works incredibly well over certain different array of instrumentation. Style choices. The instrumentation is pretty consistent in this track as well. But I really wanted to just get off the bat because people are going to be like, let's always lead with your strong foot forward. I'm not tripping over any hard wires here. He is really good, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, his guitar. Can we talk about it already? Okay, his solos are like. They sound like Steve Vai solos because they're full like 80s style like rock solos.
Yeah.
They're not like, I don't know, they're not like really heavy metal
they're
solos.
They're not like a new classical vibe.
It's like
they're not like in the sake of a shred vibe or whatever. They've done really well. They're playing is super clean, super crisp, super appropriate, and really because there are a couple of different styles in this album. You get some bluesier styles and some folkier stuff, you got the more like death metal of the early tracks as well. Particularly with the first track on the album, which is called Calm in the Eye, brackets of Hurricane. Very important that they did that.
Nice.
The song starts with a nice swell, but it really does feel like an Monomar track at times. Then it's got a folky melodic death metal track at all times. Yeah. And when they said black metal band, I was like, well, this song is not black metal. There isn't even a hint of it. It's very much like that commercial sound of melodic death metal to me.
Well, it's true because normally black metal starts a lot of crap like instrumental, not crap, but orchestration stuff, but it wasn't that. It was just a bit like a wind wailing noise. Part of the song wasn't its own track, which is good because when you do it live, you do it together anyway. Might as well just make it the same track. Yeah,
I found that the time it went full black metal for me was pretty much towards the end of the album. I think it was the Scythe Winder track. Or maybe it was Hecate or Hecate.
That's the last one.
That's the last one, because you got the Pastel Death with the Bathory cover. But that was a very even and awesome intro. And when I heard that track, I'm like, that's your black metal track right there.
Yeah, but even track 7 because it has that thrash element to it, which is kind of that black metal, like blast beats and shit to it. So that was kind of black metal as well. Yeah.
Now I would say that these intros, I feel like the first third of the songs do well to capture the imagination of the audience because they're kind of headbanging at times. They catch your attention straight away generally. Yep. Especially that throat singing, Dan. When it was introduced in the second track,
that's not good at all.
That reminds me of like Ace Ventura or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just a weird. It sounds very much like one of those throat voice things. But
that's what it is.
I'm not sure if he has that technique down like they do in. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why he did it. It wasn't good. It just didn't. It was just too jarring. It's like just do like if you didn't want to do like it just didn't sound what I don't think it sounds like he thinks it sounds.
Yeah, but the track Bridges of Spasm as well. It's got some punkier things. It ends with these double kicks kind of vibe as well. There's some big chords played in other tracks like the Out Effects, which works really well. And there's some other things as well, like a very badass chord passage in the Harvest Pie as well, which I liked. Sounds like these very big guitar tones. And I love the production on the work with these big chord sections when they're not kind of dragging along a little bit there. It's got some things on this album which I liked, Danny, which I was enjoying.
Yeah, well, I was surprised because when I hear black metal, I don't get too excited about black metal because I think it'd be quite repetitive, heavy on the blast beats, heavy on like snare blast beats and like a bit of tremolo, and it gets like a bit repetitive at times, or they become too over theatric and later I just get to something.
Yeah, even the bluesy nature of songs like The Spectre as well. There's some good stuff going on. The production's for a black metal album super tight, super clean. You can hear everything going on and nothing gets lost in the mix really. The drums are a bit low maybe at times I think, but even the bass is audible as well. There's nothing here that's like sounds like you need to hear it through a certain thing. But again, that is part of the appeal of black metal, is that you can listen to it on the bottom of your bathroom floor, and it all makes sense. You know, with being black and stuff. You know, there you are back in Norway with the Billy Cole, the only thing to warm you up is the burning embers of a certain church or something.
But this album had like more melody than I was expecting, and had a bit more like groove at times than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It wasn't just purely like a black metal album. I'm really struggling. Like the screeches for like trying to hold it through while they talk type attitude. All stuff like that. That's what normal black metal. I think he has that. Abbath has it, of course. But every now and then it gets a bit of power behind it, a bit of guts, not too much. But I was surprised with like those 80s rock guitars coming out of nowhere. He had a bit of melody at times, a bit of groove at times. Yeah, even like track 6 gets back to that whole Viking sounding thing. Yeah. So black metal was like, really, I don't know. You're right. Maybe the last 2 tracks were black melody, but
there's a black metal influence, but it did feel more at home with. I know, almost melodic black metal vibe almost.
Pretty much, but you're right, the guitarist not only does he do like the cool solos, but he just chucks in these nice little licks of like transitional parts in the songs just to help like change it up a bit.
Because without it, and this is where we have to, because it might seem like we really enjoy this album, but I can honestly tell you I didn't. Without that guitarist there, man, this would fall a little too safe for me.
Yeah, probably true.
I did feel that some of these chordal passages and drones weren't that. They didn't elicit the black metal response I usually like, where you actually feel this kind of like evil vibe and where it's going. A lot of the tone of this album felt very light-hearted and natured, and generally it felt kind of just pleasant to listen to at times, even when they were using dissonance and stuff like that. Only rarely did I find like that bitterly chill that you get for listening to that. And that's that kind of satanic vibe that people talk about when you listen to albums that you necessarily don't have to talk about it, but you can feel it. You can feel those musical ideas like chromatic usage, very tense harmonies and unconventional ways of writing songs that lend themselves to make it sound far darker than a pop music. Pretty much the antithesis of pop music. But this album feels a little too close to familiar writing. It feels like they quote themselves a little bit. The drummer doesn't explore the kit nearly as much as I would like to. They're really overshadowed by the lead guitarist, and the singing's fine. But I don't know. Like you said, when he ventures out, it's not that interesting. Like you said, the throat thing wasn't for me.
Nah.
I just found a lot of nitpicking. Before you know it, I pulled apart a jumper. You know, it's all these little things, but it's always the little things, isn't it? Right? Yeah. Danny, what was it about the album that you didn't necessarily get into?
Oh, I mean, your points are fair about the everything else apart from the guitarist can be a bit same. Because I really like the guitars. I really like the melody theme. Made it like it won it over for me for those type of things. Yeah. I was really surprised being a black metal album, the lack of synth used in the whole thing. The atmosphere created was like non-existent. Because the whole point of having
the atmosphere, there was no real atmosphere.
There was until track 8. That's the last track which you could call it probably the black metal track. The rest of it is like, well, this is just like
it feels like at times. It feels like a guitarist playing a bunch of riffs that they thought were cool, and that's it. They smashed it together.
Pretty much,
but it wasn't. I wasn't immersed into a recording. It was very much, some people might say by the numbers. I feel like that's a little too harsh on this album. There were some things like changes of certain styles and that. Yeah. But some of those chord passages are just so like, there was just 3 chords together and it repeats. And some of them, the phrases would return so often to other cycles of the song so often that I was like, oh, stop. You know, like, it didn't feel that they were taking many gambles in that sense. And so stylistically, there were some interesting takes, but there was a lot of weird choices. Like, I think track 6 and 7, where they would take the first 2 riffs, chip and change, but then they return to it, then come back, then return, then come back. And at the end of the song, they'll do something similar to the start, but then just twist it a little bit. And by then, I'm like, dude, I'm out. Like, mentally, I'm just kind of switched off. But, apart from that, it's a fine album. It's got good parts to it, but every time I think of a black metal band we reviewed, like that Iron Acronia Astrum, or the other band that we reviewed last year at the start of the year, Danny, that had some really good ones.
Oh, there's that band from Argentina. I forgot what they were called, and there's also that band from, was it Ukraine?
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah,
exactly.
And then you also had Dimmu, which was kind of black symphonic metal.
Well, that's kind of the similar vibe with the two things, but even they were a bit too much. More to Eclipse is what the Argentine band I was thinking about as well. There was just some other ones. Remember that band we saw, like, not Take, that band we saw with Behemoth that time.
With the white and black, Wantan.
Wantan. We reviewed that album as well. And they were awesome. Like, that was a black metal album. Even the production was unique, and it took a gamble there to take it more classic to not only black metal, but then bring in new ideas and that raw energy, which was just not. Yeah, I can't see why you can call this a black metal album, because it did not make me feel like I was listening to a black metal album.
I really didn't. That's why I kind of liked it, because I don't like black metal.
I'm just like,
this album's actually pretty good. So yeah, I would think if you're a black metal fan, maybe that's maybe why Abbath left
Immortal, because he didn't want to be black metal anymore, in the conventional sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Abbath album sounded like, but this one here again, track A, which was the black metal sound, actually wasn't a bad song as well. So give him credit, he still can write in that genre. But yeah, I was struggle to call it black metal. It's pretty melodic.
I found it, yeah, I found it very much, but that upset me. So when I listened to the rest of the track, I was waiting for the time to feel. Maybe that was my bad. Maybe I was sold on the premise of something that I wasn't gonna get. Like when I go to a store and I order the double quarter pounder with cheese, and someone passes me a gyros, that's just not gonna cut it. I ordered the quarter pounder with cheese. I'm gonna get myself a quarter pounder with cheese. That
happened with me with that movie Layer Cake, because everybody's saying it's Guy Ritchie, and they said, he did like Snatch and Lock Stock. So I thought Layer Cake was going to be a gangster movie. I thought it was going to be the same vein as that. Yeah. And when I was watching it, where's the cool parts happening? It's too serious for me, and it can't destroy the whole movie. If there's a decent movie, this is not what I wanted to see.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I got a little disappointed with this one, to be honest. I didn't actually enjoy it at all. I really had to tap out towards 4, and for the sake of doing the album, I listened to it again, but I'll be glad to put this one aside.
It wasn't a long album.
Which is good. 45 minutes, because you got the bonus track as well, which is staple for metal these days. If you want to be on a label, prepare to do a cover song, because the only way you're going to sell records apparently is if a fan's going to attribute your record with another band at some point.
Even though that Abbath was a pretty established name, like who he is.
Yeah.
Memes galore. Talk about memes galore. He's everywhere.
And I feel sad, because I'm sure the guy's pretty awesome. I want to put over this guy's stuff, but for me, I couldn't do it. So Dan, anything else you want to do before we give this one a rating? Anything you want to talk about? For me, my favourite tracks, I like Bridge of Spasm, and I like the Hectate track, because it had some really brutal stuff in it. It was super heavy, and that actually was the album I was listening, kind of hoping to. Even had this 70s change in it, which kind of was nice, but they went away from it. But in all honesty, though, for the other tracks,
I like track 3, the Artifacts. I thought it was a decent track.
Cool. We're going to give this one a rating, Danny.
Well, I'll give it 2 ratings now, because you've convinced me to rate it as a black metal album, as an album I heard. So
give it the album you heard.
The album I heard, I gave it like a 7, because it was rocking at solid and cool guitar work, and I enjoy that as what it was. As a black metal album, you have to give it like a 4 to 5, because it's not a black metal album.
I gave it a 4.
What is it for black metal album? That's pretty fair.
I was going into this from the premise that this guys were going to be like, I was going to feel great. I was going to be transported, and I was going to be happy. And maybe these guys have broken through the barriers of black metal, and that I don't know.
New black metal.
You can tell me all you want about that, and you might probably be right. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't captivated by these riffs. I wasn't captivated by the sound. I didn't like the way the songs were structured. The saving grace was the guitar players, and honestly, if he was in a room just playing guitar, I would like it just as much.
It was great.
I didn't care for it at all. Really, these riffs just did not tickle any bone apart from those 2 tracks. But to be honest, I'm glad they were on the album, because if not, I would have given this far lower. So I didn't like it. No, so I didn't like stuff.
You like 2 songs out of 8. That's a quarter of the album you definitely like. So that's something.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you guys got out that you did. I know Abbath fans are pretty loyal. And generally, they'll be against the grain on that one. They'll be more in your court with a 7 out of 10. They'll be much happy to hear your take on it.
Yeah, but not why, I guess. They're all the way in Norway, so they can't stop us.
You like what you like, But that's the problem. That even without being a black metal album for me, I just, as someone who just likes my music style that I like, and bands who can take the fretboard and weave it into a piece of mastery, even if your whole thing is just your awesome riffs. I can get behind it. That's Meshuggah. Meshuggah are nothing but awesome riffs. They're not much else, they've done the same thing for 8 albums, and honestly,
the last 2 albums have been.
They're good, but they that's their thing. It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame that I couldn't love this album even more, but I don't.
Well, you should not see it as black. This is one of the better black metal albums for the reasons
No,
you
it's
think it's
not.
not a good album.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
We've reviewed
It's not
so
black metal.
many good black
I know.
metal albums. I mean,
it's
that's
true.
the problem.
Yeah.
Old Man's Child for me is the best part of this kind of style, where it's not bitterly cold. It's super awesomely produced, but it's super tough. It's super inspired. It's the technical guitars are still there as well, surrounded by some of the best musicians that Nick Barker from who would go on to do everything from Dimmy Borgir to Cradle of Fifth as well. That's what I'm talking about. Is if you're gonna do that kind of album, make sure you do it. But this album, it just wasn't. Oh man, the more I talk about this, the lower I want to give it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I keep remembering these awesome
I think
bands.
4 is fair. You can't go long. That's pretty harsh, but that's what you think. And in the words of Abbath, which I got this from their lyric video, and I have a feeling one of the words of this lyric video are incorrect, and I'll let you guess which one it is. It doesn't make any sense, but this is what it says. In the words of Abbath, perish the dead, mesh stripped from our bones, stock is the carcass, cursing our wake.
Okay, was that mesh?
He said mesh instead of flesh stripped. So
Mesh.
I think someone did something wrong there.
Oh, maybe it was just far too brilliant for even my mind to comprehend. And you know what? That's a fair criticism. People want to leave that in the comments and let me know how wrong I am, because this has transcended even my small brain. Yeah.
The other credit is, I think the cover's pretty sweet. That looks pretty cool, man. When they use his makeup and they embed all those things.
The album doesn't sound like that.
No, it doesn't. That is true. But maybe that's why it's called Outstrider, because he's getting out of the black metal forest and he's getting into.
Before I lose any more friends, I'm just going to say thank you guys for listening to this week's episode. If you guys want us to review a certain album, please leave it in the comments, because we really are looking forward to talking about more metal. If you guys want us to do a retro review, we can return to certain albums that start with End and end with Evermore. That'd be super awesome. We can talk about them again. But yeah.
The never ending more.
Until then, I'm Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I've been Super Metal Brother Dave.
We've been the Super Metal Brothers. We'll catch you guys in the next installment of Super Metal Brothers.